Hey, what's going on, my friends? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to share with you some signs that you are going through what I call an accelerated spiritual awakening. And there's a particular person in my life that inspired this video who's a perfect example. Someone you would relate a lot with. Her name is Leo Alexandra. She's a fellow spiritual YouTuber and good friend of mine. And she was already a very conscious person, someone who really has already done a lot of inner work, very present. And then even with that, she was kind of hit with a lot of the classical spiritual awakening symptoms that they're very unusual to most people. There's the energy symptoms, the synchronicity, the wild dreams, the fluctuations with your body, with your diet, with pretty much all of your life and self is shaken up to a very intense degree, to an already quite conscious person. And there's a reason why this is happening to so many people just like you, and I'll get to that later. But this video is for you, to help you know you're not going crazy, to help you know there's nothing wrong with you, and to help you become aware that you just might be waking up faster than most people, which is an extremely positive thing and can help you see your entire experience, which might presently feel a little bit chaotic, in a completely new light. And when you can perceive your life, yourself, your process in a new and more positive light, in a more positive way, it will dramatically alter to your benefit the way you are experiencing some of these positive changes unfolding, albeit very quickly, in your life. You'll have to pardon me. Right outside the door, there's a bunch of construction workers doing some stuff to my kitchen. They might start banging hammers or drilling. We're gonna hope for the best, so I'll keep my fingers crossed. Number one is that you were already a conscious person. You weren't like a lot of people who were completely oblivious to the spiritual reality, the spiritual dimension, to the human experience. You were already probably fairly open to a lot of these types of things. You probably have already overcome a lot of challenges in your life. Like for me, prior to my official awakening or accelerated awakening, I was a drug addict, and I got clean. And as I got clean, I did a lot of work on myself. I had a therapist. I did a lot of inner work. So by the time I started to go through more of a classical awakening, I was already like someone who at the time didn't think I needed anything. I've already done a lot of work. So when I found myself randomly, after all that work, having to deal with this acceleration of all things in my life, it was very perplexing and overwhelming and even discouraging. Like, dude, how much is it gonna take? I've already done so much work. I already thought I was doing pretty good. I've made all these improvements, and now I'm like back on this emotional roller coaster. My life is being shaken up. I'm up and down all over the place. Like, what gives? Number two is you feel bipolar. You feel like, not just emotionally, although that's certainly a part of it, but you feel up and down in all possible areas of your life. Emotionally, yes, there are times where you feel like really good, really connected, maybe even blissed out, to despair and just misery, where you think of yourself as like nothing and worthless, your situation is hopeless. And it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take big things to swing you in either direction. But your life unfoldment can also take on that roller coaster nature, where things are just happening for you. Opportunities and blessings and abundance is flowing in from left and right, and then all of a sudden, for no discernible reason, you've come to a complete stop, and then those emotions come up, and you feel like, what's happening to me again? And then things not only aren't going your way, but problems start to emerge in your life, and it can just be a very, very up and down experience when you're going through an accelerated awakening. Real quick, before I move on, the reason you're experiencing the intensity of the ups and downs, my friends, because you can handle the speed. Just know that. Number three, your life is shifting around a lot and fast. Like big facets of your life are undergoing massive changes, one after the other, career, relationship, living situation, vehicle you drive, clothes you wear, the look you want to, everything is just in a state of accelerated fluctuation, transition, and change. And sometimes these big changes come out of what seems like nowhere. Like you might have been sort of like trucking along, business as usual for a long time, and all of a sudden just you get this idea that, like a realization that you don't like your job anymore. Not only do you not like it, but it finally clicks that your job is the source of a lot of your problems, a lot of your stress, your job, the people. It's holding you back suddenly from continuing to grow and reach your potential and find happiness and find your purpose and live the good life. And it's like, oh, wow. Not only will that realization come, but then things start shifting around. Like now you're almost like your job starts to push you out. This is just an example. And you get a notice from your boss, and your hours have been cut, and your pay's been decreased, and now you got to work next to some jerk off you don't even like, some asshole that drives you nuts every day, and it's like, oh my goodness. Then a new boss comes in. The new boss is meaner and crueler and more unreasonable than the previous one, and it's like, oh my goodness. And that's just one area of your life. You might be having the same type of scenario playing out with your living situation, with your child's school. That happened to me. Big things simultaneously changing quickly. Oh my God. Number 4, amidst all of this, when you think you got enough on your plate, you find yourself thinking a lot about your life purpose. Your life purpose. Your friends and family aren't talking about the desperate desire to discover their purpose and calling in life, but you are thinking about that. You're spending time. You just have this sudden knowing that I got to find this thing. There's something. There's a reason, a meaning, not only to all of this stuff, all this these changes. There's a meaning to me. I came here for a purpose, for a reason, to add value, to provide some kind of creative service, perhaps. And I sense that when I find that, that's probably the answer to a lot of my issues. That's going to make me a lot happier. It's going to fill this hole that I've suddenly become aware exists inside of my heart. I don't feel whole. There's a sense of disconnection somewhere, and I know finding my life purpose is it's the key to that. And yet, I have no idea where to look. Number 5 is you're starting to experience synchronicity, and thank God for that, because without these little divine confirmations, where would you be? I don't know. Synchronicity in the form of repetitive numbers that just so happen to come into your field of vision at the perfect time when you need some kind of reminder that you're good, you're on track. It's all happening for a reason. Here's a little confirmation, a physical confirmation. Intuitively, you always know that, but the mind tends to bug out in such fluctuation, right? So your mind is rewarded with a little sign, a little synchronicity, a little miracle, a little mini miracle from the universe to say you're on track, you're good, continue allowing your life to go through these changes, for they're going to help you, they're going to improve you, and all is right with the world, even though it doesn't seem that way. So you might be seeing the same 3 or 4 numbers all over the place. The license plate, you got to go to the doctor, and all of a sudden it's those 4 numbers are the first 4 numbers of the address, and on the way there you see a license plate, and then it's like you look down and there it is on the clock, billboard over there. It's like, it could be crazy, the amount of the frequency you see these repetitive numbers in your life, and that's just one form. Some folks don't see the numbers, but you'll have your own synchronicities. Maybe it's whenever you think of, you're in your head about something, you like to listen to music, and then the song that comes on lyrically is like precisely what you need to hear. It's like almost like the world or God or the universe is talking right to you in perfect harmony and timing with your thought process. And it's like these little synchronicities are not only giving you confirmation that you are on track, that you can indeed trust your intuition, but it's also breaking down the belief that magic doesn't exist, that miracles can't happen, for they can happen. And the more synchronicity you experience, the more you'll start to click with that and believe that. And the more you believe that miracles are possible, the more you will create them in your life. 6, this is not something that everyone has happen, but many do. I wrote down just 2 words, energy symptoms. The energetic component of awakening. Oftentimes, when one is going through it in an accelerated way, is very noticeable. Where a lot of times when you're laying in bed at night and you're relaxed, you'll feel literal like jolts of energy rushing, going through your body, through your limbs, up your spine. And these energy movements are creating phenomena in your field of vision sometimes. Sometimes you hear things. You lay down there and freaking stuff starts happening. Energy is moving. You can literally experience yourself being rewired, transformed. Your vibration elevated. And it's not just this idea. It's something you experience in a literal, physical, energetic level. And a lot of times when we are going through this accelerated awakening, we get the kundalini symptoms, the energy movement, the energy blockages in your crown, your forehead, your heart, your solar plexus. We feel like pressure, energy pressure, blocked energy stuck. We suddenly become aware of our subtle energy field, and it's like a legitimate thing we need to be aware of and sort of contend with in life. Oftentimes during this phase, you also experience, I wrote down mystical encounters, like straight up mystical encounters. Like my friend Leora, for example, she has this new thing where anytime someone is discussing what she perceives to be their calling in life or something very meaningful to them, she will literally see in her field of vision like light angel figures, like angels, above the person that she sort of concludes, interprets as like these are the guides of the person. These are like the spirit team that's kind of coming forth, making themselves known to her because she can now perceive them, so that Leora can validate that for that person and say, yeah, your guides over there, they concur. You should go with this book. You should go with this blog. You should go with this new direction you've been pondering and discussing. It's right for you. Okay, that's one of many examples. I've had a lot of crazy things. I'll tell you one story. One time I was at a rock and roll concert. The band was a Perfect Circle, sort of a higher conscious band. And I was sitting there and I was looking out at the stage, and all of a sudden I became aware of my thoughts. And this particular thought streamed through my mind. It was this exactly: I am that. I am that I am. That's something like enlightened people say and make sense of. I've read it in a lot of my books, but that just popped through my head. I am that. And when my mind sort of uttered the word that, my consciousness, it feels like it just exploded into the peripheral, into eternity. And I suddenly became aware that I am that. I am all that is. And as that happened, my heart exploded with love energy, literally, almost like a portal opened up in my chest, right there at the concert, and love just gushed out of me, and I felt expanded, I felt connected, and I felt so much love for all things. And I thought it was so real, so physical, so literal, that I looked around and I was like, is this happening to everybody? Is the whole world going through this? No, just me and my wife, actually. She had the same exact experience, ironically. But that happened. That's a pretty unusual thing to just happen, okay? Since then, I've been able to communicate with deceased loved ones, grandparents, deceased dogs. I've had spirit guides enter my dreams, extraterrestrials, don't even get me started. All sorts of stuff that if it would have happened to me in the past, I would have thought I would lose my freaking mind. Mystical type of stuff that occurs when you're waking up enough to where it almost feels like the veil that separates your conscious physical life from all that really is starts to really thin. And you get to kind of peer through to these other worlds, these other dimensions, these other aspects of reality. They're becoming real and literal to you. Another one that might sound, now that we've sort of gone off the deep end a little bit, we'll keep with this tune. Sometimes you get the sense, and it's like a real sense, that you're not from around here. You not only can sense this, but sometimes your experiences and the synchronicity, the types of information you stumble across will confirm it, at least to you. It will feel resonant and right at the time that you're not from around here. That you might feel like, I'm not normally a human being. I'm not normally on Earth. I feel like it's maybe my first time here on this planet, or maybe only a few times. I don't know where I normally am, but I'm normally not playing this physical game of reality, and that suddenly makes sense of why it seems so heavy, constrictive, uncomfortable, like pointlessly painful, challenging, strenuous. I don't like this. I feel like I'm a little teeny box wanting to explode and fly through the heavens and the ethers like I probably normally do. All this, you might find yourself exploring in your mind, and maybe there's a shred of truth to that. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're not from around here. Maybe you chose to come here. Maybe during this time of transformation to help out. You might also find yourself wondering about that as well. Number 9, to your own surprise, you're actually, when it comes down to it, pretty psychic. You might find, like, in the beginning it's like your intuition increases, but it goes beyond that. Where you realize, like, you get information, impressions that people just aren't talking about. You just know stuff without knowing how. You start to learn your own way of communicating with your higher self, the other side, your spirit guides, etc. And you get so comfortable with it that it just becomes a normal part of your reality. And slowly but surely, you just turn into this straight up awesome psychic without even really, it kind of sneaks up on you. Like all of you right now, you might not even realize it actually, now that I'm saying this. You might not even realize the way you function, the way you navigate yourself through your life has changed dramatically. And you've become a lot more tapped in. And it's just become so normal that you don't even realize just how psychic you actually are. Number 10, most importantly, you know what I mean by the 2 words, the shift. You know what that means. You are aware that there's an epic size transformation quickly sweeping. It's already been swept the planet. Human beings, human consciousness, and the physics of our reality are dramatically changing and shifting and upgrading themselves. And that's the core reason for all of the drama, all the fluctuations you're experiencing, all the accelerated changes you can see playing out there also on the world state, within the hearts of humankind, within the consciousness of humanity. Not only are you aware of this, but you also know you came to help with it. There's a reason why you're aware of it and not in a loony bin, okay? Because it's not nonsense to you. It's something legitimately happening. It's a real thing, as fantastical as it is. It might have taken you some time to warm up to that idea, but now a lot of you are probably fairly settled, and all the things I just said didn't freak you out. And you're like, yeah, I agree, dude. Why do you think that is? It's because the changes occurring are accelerating, almost exponentially. And I don't know this for sure, although I sense there will come a point where it's no longer only noticeable to some people, where everyone starts to see and feel and experience something profound happening. But those who are not really wired to be aware of that could very well have a very challenging experience that would really make you being here a good thing for them. Just being calm. This one time, I'll give an example. This might not be your thing, but I like to do ayahuasca for personal transformation. And one time I was having a really, really rough time where the medicine kind of hit me way late into the evening when everybody was all done. So the ceremony was over, people were talking, and I was like going through my thing. And it was so intense and so scary finally after a while. I just raised my hand. So there's one person I could kind of recognize as I thought of her. I figured she was like, thought she was one of the helpers. And I was like, I need help. She came over and we were talking, sort of. I was just like saying, I need help. I don't know what's happening to me. I fasted and now I'm blah, blah, blah. And she said, oh, okay, let me go get one of the shamans. So she didn't even know what the hell to do with me. She went and got one of the shamans. And I told the shaman my whole case, all the things that was going on with me. And the shaman didn't really say anything. Well, she did eventually, but what was immediately assuring and like it totally changed everything. My whole experience changed by just seeing that this shaman was not at all freaked out or fazed by what I was going through. She was like, you just had that like, yeah, I've seen this 1,000 times before. I know it's gonna be just fine. She had that kind of like energy about her. And that in itself was so, it literally took me from complete chaos to having a very productive and enlightening experience from that point forward, from that moment forward, just seeing the look in her eyes of calm and assurance. That's why you're here. Not to go necessarily preaching to people. It's to have that look of everything's gonna be okay. Even talking about this, I feel touched by it because I just resonate with it so deeply. All the stuff I said still is wild to me. Sometimes I'm amazed that I utter this stuff out on YouTube. Honestly, I'm like, Vic, do you really, this is your thing now? But it just resonates. It resonates deeper than anything I've been taught here in this life. It resonates on a soul level. That's why I get choked up sometimes. Anyway, just excusing my tears. Anyways, my friends, so the whole moral of the story is there's a reason why this is all happening to you. And it's a very important reason. There's a very important reason why you're going through this accelerated awakening. So you could be a calm presence among other people and help others who might not be as much of a natural as you make these shifts in their own lives. By managing your own storms, you'll be indirectly helping other people manage their own. And lots of people, anyone you come in contact with will be affected positively by your energy. Anyways, my friends, I'm gonna bounce. I can hear things ramping up out there. As I mentioned, we have construction workers here today. But I wish you all nothing but the best. Thank you for your part in this powerful thing we're going through. And I'll be here another time with another video, and then we'll talk then. All right, peace.